to concentrate. Uh, Wherever it's required, we will touch upon morphology and physiology of a plant. But first, we'll try to understand what are mangroves, what they are. Actually, just a simple outline of mangrove. Like a mangrove, the term mangrove has originated from Senegalese word mangue, which means into the sea. Mangroves literally means grooves into the sea, and mangroves are halophyte. Halophyte means they can tolerate a salt. We'll see this in detail when we proceed. And mangrove can grow between soil and water bodies like sea. They grow mostly on clay soil or on mud flats, and they're commonly found between intertidal region. Intertidal region is region between high tide and low tide of sea. And mangrove ecosystem inhabits 112 tropical and subtropical countries, and it requires minimum temperature of 24 degree Celsius to survive. And in India, mangrove is distributed across the all coast area. So all coastal area will be having mangroves. And the largest mangrove forest of the world is Sundarban, and the Sundarban is shared by India and Bangladesh. So that's something we should be proud of. That world's largest mangrove, a part of it is in India. So let's see how how mangrove evolved. So it is believed that it is said that there was a lot of competition between plants, for the space. So some of the plants they're facing tough to survive in this condition, so they've decided to move towards a land. There was a lot of competition here, so they decided to move towards a sea to avoid a competition, to avoid a space problem. Now, these new plants are known as mangrove, and this new habitat which mangrove have selected was good. So here there was no space problem, but here there were several other problems. This is just like we humans are getting shifted to some new place or new state. Imagine you don't know anyone, you don't understand language. We know how important language and communication is. We saw that in the last webinar. So it's like how you'll raise your kids. It's all about see this person and all that. So what I want to tell you that is every species on this earth has a problem, be it a tree, ant, or human. It depends how we deal with it. So, in this presentation today, we will see how mangrove deals with their problem, how they have evolved or changed themselves to survive. Before that, let's see why mangroves are important. Why you should concentrate on this presentation. Why we are discussing mangroves. What is the similarity between both? Both protect a coast, one from human terror and another from a nature terror. Mangrove are considered as soldier of a coast. I can say this because no, according to the World Conservation Union, no, IUCN, they have compared a death rate of two villages in Sri Lanka, which were hit by a giant waves. So they compared death rate of two villages. The two people died in an area where in a village where there was a dense mangrove forest, while up to 6,000 people died in a village without a similar vegetation. Mangroves are truly a lifeline of a tropical coastline, and their characteristic, their roots, the root system of these trees allow them to withstand tide. It, mangrove protect a shoreline from storms, hurricane, wind, and these roots act as a buffer to prevent erosion by holding a soil, by holding a mud, by slow down the tides. So first we'll try to understand roots, but before that we will learn some basic, because it's important to understand that. See, since childhood, we have been taught that plant take carbon dioxide and give out oxygen to us, right? But what is not taught to us that even plants need an oxygen to breathe. Just like you, me, and all the animal present in the world, even plant need oxygen to breathe. Uh, See here, there are two things in plant: photosynthesis and respiration. During photosynthesis, they take in carbon dioxide and give out oxygen. And there is something called a respiration. In that, they take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. We'll be seeing one by one. You know that in photosynthesis, plant make their own food. But खाना बनाने के बाद खाना खाना भी पड़ता है, you know, to gain energy, to survive, to survive. So they even plant do eat what they make, and after eating, uh, they need to digest their food. You know, they need to break down their food to gain energy. So during breakdown of the food, they need oxygen. You know, plant respire continuously. During daytime, they produce oxygen, and out of they produce a lot of oxygen. Out of that, a bit they take in. But during night time, when there is no access to light, there is no photosynthesis. So they can't make an oxygen. So during night, they take in more oxygen than they produce, and they give more carbon dioxide. You know, that's why it is advised not to sleep under a tree during night time, because they're not producing oxygen during night. In fact, they're taking oxygen and giving out a carbon dioxide. That's what I want to tell you, that every part of the plant respire. For part of the plant which is above ground, it's easy. You know, they do photosynthesis, they produce oxygen and they take in oxygen. But for roots, it's difficult. Roots don't do photosynthesis, but even roots need to respire, because roots are doing heavy lifting job. Heavy lifting job means transporting of water, nutrients from soil to other part of the plant. No, most of the grass which we see uh, on lawn and on streets, you know, they die not because of water or any other thing. They die because they can't respire. You know, due to our continuous footsteps, the soil became compact, so compact that air can't pass through it. So in agriculture, plowing helps in losing the soil. Plowing helps, you know, the soil get a kind of aeration. And in wild and forest, the many insects and animal who does this burrowing job. So in that way, air get, and you can see here, compact soil, the roots are really less. When those plants get oxygen or air, they can grow really well. Water and air can really make a difference. Now, coming to mangrove. The mangroves grow in a mud flat, clay-like soil, where soil is so compact that air can't pass through it. No? Air can't pass. You can't even walk properly in mangrove because soil is so compact. Due to lack of oxygen in mangrove soil, there is a formation of hydrogen sulfide gas. So that's why when you visit any mangrove swamp, you get this strange smell of rotten egg. Why? Because there is a low oxygen in soil, not in air. There is low level of oxygen in soil, and it leads to formation of hydrogen sulfide gas. So, so, so what? See, now think how this root will breathe. Their soil is so compact that air can't pass through it. So how this root will breathe? So mangrove have developed a special root known as nematophore, and it's known as breathing root. So they know that now air can't go in, so they have developed a root that comes up. Now these roots are known as breathing roots, and they have this lenticels kind of thing. They have these small pores. They're just like our nose. They helps to take in air and take in and out air. That's fine. The roots have come up for the breathing, but now who will hold the soil? What about mangrove support? Mangrove have thought even of that. See, mangrove have this kind of rooting system, widespread rooting system. It has below this kind of root for support, and some roots have come up and this have this kind of pore so that air can go in and they can do their all lifting job of transporting water, nutrients, and all that. So some mangrove species have this pencil-like uh, root known as nematophore, while other mangroves have a knee-like root. This kind of root not only helps in exchange of gases, but also they support a tree. But from there, they also have this third kind of root known as slit root. Again, they help in support. They help in slow down the tide, wind, all those things, and they even have these small pores. What we have discussed, lenticels, which help them to breathe. So mangrove has evolved to fight from all this. They can stand in one place and take everything, whatever comes to us. They have developed this slit root so that mangrove uh, can't can't get uprooted when it's get a strong wind or tide. So this was all about root. Let's discuss about another limiting factor, which is like it is about a salt. No, most of the organism needs salt. We require salt in a small amount. Excess of salt is lethal to everyone, even for the plant who grow in a salt water. The mangrove grow in an environment which has a wide range of salinity. It grows between freshwater and seawater. So salinity keep changing with a tide. Now we will see how mangrove deal with excess of salt. First of all, they don't allow salt to enter into their body. They filter salt at root level. So roots start filtering. Roots start filtering the salt. Roots just take up the fresh water, and this fresh water they utilize for their growth. Some species of mangrove have other way to deal with it. They have uh, they have salt glands in their leaves. So it removes a salt which enter into its body through the glands. So excess of the salt which has entered, which will be excreted from the leaf, and you can literally see this salt crystal on the leaves. You can taste this salt. If you leak it, they will taste salty. And over the period of time, a salt on these leaves get cleared by wind or rain. And some species have evolved in other way. So far we have seen they filter salt at root level, and some species have salt gland. Other species, some mangrove species accumulate excess of salt in their old leaves or old bark, so that when this leaf drop or when the bark is shed, the excess of salt goes away with them. So all these leaves will be having all the excess of salt. So by this you might have understood how hard mangroves are trying to remove a salt from their body. You might have understood how precious fresh water is for them. No, just like desert plant, even mangrove plant try to hold fresh water. They try to save water. You must be thinking why they are trying to save water. What is a need to save water? Where water is going. See, in plants, you know that root absorb a water. Through a movement, water travels up to the upper plant. Like for water travels from root to leaves, flower, fruit. So ऐसे ऊपर जाते जाते some water gets evaporate because leaf has pore to breathe, to take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide, to breathe and to evaporate, and these pores do evaporate some amount of water. So you might have seen that पहले से mangrove have shortage of fresh water, so they can't let so they can't let water to evaporate like this. So mangrove have developed a succulent thick leaf which can store a fresh water. Some mangroves have this waxy coating on their leaf to seal water, so that the amount of water going out is reduced. They can't completely avoid evaporation, but they can reduce a rate of evaporation. Some mangrove have developed a pore like below leaves, away from the sun, so that the less water get evaporated. So far we have talked about roots and salt. So next we will be talking about one more speciality of mangrove, that is vivipary. The vivipary is a very important aspect of mangrove. I would like to explain this using animal example because it's easy to understand. There is one thing called as ovipary and there is another thing called vivipary. The ovipary means eggs are laid outside female body. An individual develop inside a egg. Individual is developing inside the egg, and individual is, you can consider individual is developing outside the female body. And another thing is called vivipary. It's like you can consider human for this. We undergo embryonic development inside a mother womb. The individual completely develop inside a female body and eventually leading to a live birth. Something like this happens in a mangrove. In plant, vivipary occur when seed or embryo develops inside a parent body, develops on a parent before they get attached. So they develop before they get attached. Why this vivipary in mangrove? Because if seed fall down, it will be difficult for a seed to germinate, because you have seen the soil is very compact. Soil has a low amount of oxygen. There is excess of salt in soil, excess of salt in water. So it's not an ideal condition for a seed to grow. That's why most of the work or most of most of the growth take place here. Uh, to, to overcome all those difficulties of mangrove habitat, most of the development happens here. For example, in mangrove, after a maturity, this is a mangrove fruit, and they don't fall off. After the mangrove fruit don't fall off after they are mature. They still remain attached to the plant. They remain attached and they grow inside. They grow so much that seed comes out. The seed comes out and they remain attached till the seed kind of germinated. That's why in mangrove we don't call this as a seed. We call this in mangrove as a propagule. For vivipary species, we call this as a propagule because development has started taking place. So in case of mango, in case of mango, a stony structure inside a mango, you call that as a seed. When it comes to mangrove, you call a similar structure as a propagule because there is a difference in that seed and this seed. You can see this fruit. This is a fruit, and seed started developing it, and it has from a propagule. This is a fruit, and it has developed like this. And this propagules can do photosynthesis because as you can see they are green in color, photosynthesis while they're attached to the mother tree, and parent tree even do supply of water and necessary nutrients just like a mother supply nutrition to a child developing in a womb. A developed propagule, after it's developed it's become heavy and bulky. Once it become heavy and bulky, it's difficult to remain attached to a tree, so they fall off. And once they fall off, they float in water. You know, if they fall off during low tide, like when there is no water at a shore, they can immediately establish themselves and start producing roots. If they fall off during high tide when there is a lot of water, they can float to like certain distance away from a parent plant. They can float for an year, and they can establish whenever they find a ground, solid ground to establish its root. It is believed that mangroves are world traveler. The propagule of all the mangroves can float, and they have known to move more than a year before taking a roots. In seawater, they lie flat and float fast. But when it approaches a fresh or a brackish water, which is the ideal condition for mangrove, this propagule turn vertical uh, and start developing a root. And after lodging in a mud, seedling quickly sends additional roots so that in a soil so that they can be completely established like this. And within few years, this propagule or seedling can give rise to entire thicket of mangrove. It's not just a tree, but land itself start increasing. Mud starts collecting. Mud of surrounding start collecting here around its tangled root, and shallow mud flats start developing nearby. A single propagule can develop into a rich ecosystem. Ecosystem can be born out of a single propagule. That's why it is said that nature can take care of itself. It can heal, it can regenerate, it can reproduce. It's a living being. What is not needed is our disturbance. We just need to stop disturbance from our end. Just leave their habitat. uh, they are self-sufficient, in fact so sufficient that they can take care of all other living being, whether it's food, shelter, medicine, and so on. So this was a few speciality of mangroves we have discussed. So to summarize, we can say that we have discussed about roots, we have discussed about their the way they filter a salt, and we have discussed about viviparity. Now we will be seeing some mangrove species, well-known mangrove species. First is Avicennia. Avicennia is among the first mangrove species to establish itself in a new habitat. If you happens to visit any mangrove habitat, you will see the species. If you are not good at tree spotting, you may end up seeing only this species. Avicennia is a strong tree. I can say that as it can survive in number of ecotypes, and it can tolerate high salinity, pollutants, heavy metal, and it also forms a good relationship with a neighboring species, good relationship with other species which are growing nearby. And it's also reported to tolerate extreme weather condition, high wind, various type of pests and diseases. It have tolerance or immunity for them. And these are the two species of Avicennia which are very common. In vegetative condition means when leaves, when flowers and fruits are absent. So way to identify Avicennia in vegetative condition is like it has pointed tip Avicennia marina have pointed leaf tip, and Avicennia officinalis have a kind of roundish tip. So this is a key identification characters, I would say. And some uses of this Avicennia are like mangrove habitat is ideal for mosquitoes who live around wetland. So coastal people who live around mangrove use smoke of this Avicennia. Uh, they burn Avicennia wood, and smoke which is collected from that wood used as a mosquito repellent. Apart from that, Avicennia wood is used for building houses. Avicennia roots are used to construct boat. They also used to make beehives. This was about Avicennia. Next, Rhizophora. Identification of Rhizophora is very easy. Now it has this skirt-like roots for anchorage and support, and each new leaf bud of Rhizophora has this cap, which is known as stipule. It can be of red color. It can be red to green in color. The function of this stipule is to protect emerging leaf or bud. Even the stipule can do photosynthesis, and it protects a new growing leaves or bud from dehydration, desiccation. So that it's a kind of protection. Many plant has this kind of stipule, and they are short-lived. They fall off once a leaf unroll or when leaf is mature. Some uses of Rhizophora. Rhizophora young shoots are consumed as vegetable. Not only human, even some species of crab love Rhizophora leaves. Timber, just like Avicennia, timber is used for construction of boat, houses, fish trap. Wood of Rhizophora is considered as an excellent firewood, excellent fuel. The advantage of using Rhizophora for firewood is like split into it can easily split. Wood can easily split. You can cut wood into many parts and distribute it. Next, we will be talking about Soneraceae. Their Soneraceae genus name is given from, there was a French botanist, Sonnerat. So in honor of him, this plant genus name is given Soneraceae. So in Soneraceae, there are two common species, Soneraceae alba. Soneraceae alba. Alba means white, referring to a flower color. No, this Soneraceae plant has tiny petals. No, tiny petals are inside this. They are very tiny. So that's why we can't see it here. And all this, what you can see, are stamens. They are male part, and it has this powder puff like a stamen, and it has a kind of fragrance, and it blooms at night. As it blooms at night, its pollinator is bat. So usually the plants which are blooms at night, uh, their pollinator can be moth or bat, most of the cases. Next species of Soneraceae, this is Soneraceae apetala. Apetala because it lacks a petal. This species has a petal, but it's very tiny inside. And this species don't have any petal. That's why apetala, without petal. But it has these four prominent sepals. And this, you can see it has a creamy color stamens, and it has this interesting female part which look like a flattened umbrella, or it's look like a mushroom. No, this is a style, and this is a stigma. It just look like a top of mushroom. It has a bit reddish color. So Soneraceae alba and Soneraceae apetala. These are fruit of Soneraceae alba. These fruit are slightly acidic, and it is used to flavor fishes, and it is also used. Hello, Priyanka.
Yes, Kiran.
Is there anything? Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. I just wanted to tell that this link will get discontinued in 5 minutes. So we'll join with another link which we have provided on mail and WhatsApp after 5 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So, the fruits, the Soneraceae is also known as mangrove apple because of the fruits. It's really look good. And this is the female part, a style which we have seen. So this part you can see ovary, and see you can see in this the calyx remain like this same, and even this style remains it. The ovary of female turned into a fruit. So this so by and this is a very good way to study comparing flower and fruit. You can see what has remained attached even after fruit is developed. After a few days, this will fall off, but this calyx will remain just like a brinjal. What we have studied, calyx will remain. So this fruit is slightly acidic. It's used to flavor fishes. It's also used for making vinegar. Ripened fruit is said to taste like cheese, and even leaves are used for cooking. And the timber in some places it's valued, and some places it's not valued. If they don't have any option, they use a timber of this plant. Next is Aegicerus corniculata. This plant often grow in a bunches. You can in wild you will find a bunch of this plant, a thicket of this plant, and this plant get rid of excess of salt through its leaf. This leaf has leaf gland to excrete excess of salt, and flowers you can see even flower grow in a bunches. They are white in color, and they are fragrant. They have nice smell, and flower has good quality of nectar. So you will always see some bees, some insects hovering beside this. And the people or who have this species nearby, they can do a beekeeping. They can do a beekeeping to, and they can get a nectar, good amount of nectar. And fruit, if you see, it has again a calyx, spiral calyx, and you can see it has a pointed tip. And usually fruit when in raw condition they are green, and when ripen they turn into a red in color. That's why some local of Mumbai, they call this species as mirchi mangrove, because even fruit look like a mirchi. They are green in color. When they ripen they are red in color. So not this word, this common name is not that famous, but very few people call this as a mirchi mangrove. So it may happen if you say mirchi mangrove, many people may not be uh, it's at least scientific people can recognize the scientific name. Next is Brugueria gymnorrhiza. Gymno Brugueria, again, Bruguer was a French explorer. So to honor him, the species was named as Brugueria gymnorrhiza. Gymno means naked, and rhiza means roots. So this species has knee types of root, which we have seen earlier. The knee type of root for which helps in a support and for breathing. And you can see this fruit. This is a calyx. It has a strong calyx. You can see here, Brugueria flowers are creamy white in color, and they turn brown after some time. So it has this pink or bright red color calyx, just like a brinjal. Calyx here do not fall off. It remain attached to the tree and provide protection to fruit even. It is there in flower stage also, as well as fruit stage also. That's why we call this as a persistent calyx. And it's very good way to study, observing flower and fruit like this. And fruit develop within a calyx tube, and it fruit enlarge to form a propagule. You when mature, this propagule will fall down on the mud and start developing a root. It is said, coming to uses of Bulgaria, it is said that wood of this Bulgaria used for firewood, built for construction, for building boards, and it is also said that wood is rot resistant. Next is Exocareca agalocha. No, it's an amazing plant. It was in my wish list to see this plant. It is believed that all part of the plant are poisonous, and it exudes white poisonous latex from all its broken uh, all its broken parts. There was this Captain Cook, uh, captain who was known as James Cook. Once he told his worker to bring some wood from the shore. So they went out and found this plant. While they were cutting this tree, a milky latex got splashed into their eyes, and they were temporarily blind for some time. So from that day, Captain Cook instructed his men not to cut this plant because it was not even useful as a fuel. It is said that even smoke from the burning wood is so poisonous that it can harm your eyes. The milky latex of Exocarica agalocha is so poisonous, and it's not only poison, it's also a powerful irritant. If it get in contact with your skin, it can cause a irritation. Slightly contact with your eyes can cause temporary blindness. Even its generic name Exocarica in Latin means blind. Exocarica agolocha, it's a poisonous plant, but it's cleverly you can use it for medicinal purpose. Difference between poison and medicine is a quantity and the way you use it or the way you process it before using it. If you use it in a right quantity and a proper way, even poison can be turned into a medicine. But if you use it in excess amount or in an incorrect way, even a good medicinal plant can be turned into a poison. So this was a short intro of Exocarica. Coming to its morphology, leaves look like this. It has a strong, uh, a long petiole, and initially they are green in color. As they age, they turn into orangish or red color. Before they shed the leaf, they turn into a red or orange color. And the species is dioecious. Dioecious meaning the plant can be either male tree or a female tree. It can't be both. So these are male flower, uh, and these are female flower. Female flowers are scented. So we will understand what a dioecious plant means. So this is hermaphrodite flower. Example, you can imagine hibiscus. A single flower as a male plant as well as a female part. It's like just like male and female are getting married and stay in same house. Next is a monoecious. Mono means single. You know, it's a single plant, but male is on another branch and female is on another branch. They are both single plant. The two types of flowers are on different branches. It's like a living relationship. You can imagine maize plant for this or many bitter gourd plant for this. And this is an amazing plant. If you have this monoecious kind of plant in your house, it's very interesting to see कि plant को male flower आया है कि female flower आया है. This female flower will turn into fruit. This male flower after some time they fall off. And this is a dioecious. Dioecious is like long distance relationship. Di means double. So a condition in which male and female flowers are found on two different plants. This is completely different plant and this is completely different plant. So on this plant you will only find a male flower. You will not find a single female flower. And in this, you will not find a single male flower. All female flower will be there. So you can imagine for this papaya. So if you have male papaya plant, it will not bear any fruit. No, people start thinking, "अरे fruit नहीं लग रहा, fruit लगेगा ही नहीं," because it's a male plant and male can't become pregnant. So always in case of dioecious, a female plant will give you a fruit. And Exocharica agolicha, what we have discussed, Exocharica agolicha mangrove is an example of dioecious plant. So this was about Exocharica. Let's move to next. This is Sundari. This plant is known as Sundari, and Sundarban got its name from this tree. It's a large tree with wing-shaped nuts, and you can easily recognize it. It has silvery scale on the underside of leaves, and on upper side it has a green color. So it's easy to recognize. Upper green color and below a white color. So this is a way you can identify this plant on field. And Sundari plant, just like an uh, Exocharica agolicha, grow towards a land side, towards a land. That's why they have this kind of roots. This kind of roots are called as buttresses, which help a plant for a support. And Sundari tree in a wild is harvested mostly for its timber, and it's valued for its toughness. You can see how strong this tree is. So it's valued for its toughness, durability, and it is kind of it has some resistance for salt water. That's why it is used to construct boat, ships, and even it's used for making bridges. So, moving on to next, mangroves can be categorized into two groups based on their morphology and physiology specialization. No, uh, so we will try to understand. So, mangrove mangrove usually occur at this zone near coast, and mangrove associate occur at this. So there are two things: true mangrove and mangrove associate. So we have so far we have discussed true mangrove. Now we will be discussing mangrove associate. So true mangrove will be always found will be found near coast, and mangrove associate will be found at the end of the coast or towards the start of terrestrial or toward the start of a land. So now we'll try to understand a difference between these two species. For that, see, true mangrove can occur only in a mangrove habitat, whereas mangrove associate can occur in wetland, terrestrial habitat. They can even occur in desert. True mangrove have morphological as well as physiological specialization, like breathing root, as we discussed, nematophore, slit roots, knee root. And mangrove can filter their salt. They can remove excess of salt from their leaves. Mangrove associate species don't have any specialized roots. They can't remove salt from their leaves. So they don't have any kind of modification or speciality. Coming to mangrove is a halophyte. Halophyte means they can survive and complete their life cycle in saline condition. Whereas mangrove associates are glycophyte, means they're salt sensitive species. They can tolerate low saline condition. Can can't tolerate the species can't tolerate harsh or strong salinity. So this was a difference between mangrove, true mangrove and mangrove associate. Now we will be seeing mangrove associate in detail. First species I've selected is Acanthus illicifolius. It's also known as sea holly. No, it's known as sea holly because its leaf look like a terrestrial plant known as holly. That's why it's known as sea holly, and it's grow towards a coast. That's why sea holly. Uh, so in the species of Acanthus, all leaves don't have the spiny edges. The leaves that grow in kind of a little bit shade are totally spineless. Only which are exposed to sun has this kind of spiny structure, whereas other leaves don't have this much a spiny structure. And acanthus can get rid of excess of salt through its leaf, and even its sap is a little bit salty. And this plant always produce flower, in cluster. You can see they're neatly organized in a cluster, and they're white, bluish violet in color. And this it has one large petal. And there is some controversy regarding this species. Many of them call this as a mangrove, and there one group of people call this as a mangrove, and other group of people call this as a mangrove associate. Why this confusion? Because people consider this as a mangrove associate because it doesn't show vivipary like true mangrove shows. No, it produces a bunch of fruit, and that fruit get burst or dispersed like a normal plant. It doesn't show a viviparity. That's why some consider it as a mangrove associate. So you may can come across some people who call this as a mangrove plant. So both way it is accepted. Next is Salvadora. You might have heard about miswak. Common name of Salvadora is miswak. You can see it has thick leaves, and it can survive in saline condition and as well as in dry condition. Uh, and there is a butterfly known as salmon Arab butterfly. It is only found in a mangrove habitat, and that salmon Arab butterfly host plant is miswak. Salmon Arab lays its egg on this plant. You can see it has a small red color, attractive berries. So lots of birds get attracted to these plants, and it's a good source of food for lots of birds. So in case of miswak, its root as well as stem is used for brushing a teeth. It has this chewing. This is chewing teeth. Chewing stick has been used for centuries for teeth cleaning, and this stick is also recommended by World Health Organization in an area which is where it grows. It is recommended you should use this, and even fresh leaves, what we have seen, are used as a salad. We value things when we get in this form. We don't value things when we get in this form. You know, this packet of miswak is available on Amazon for $18. That's 1,360 rupees. And the way you should go and read the description, the way they describe it's amazing. And I would like to tell you how they describe. They say it's a great eco-friendly gift for your loved one. 100% natural, raw, biodegradable, pesticides and chemical-free, vegan and cruelty-free. A great Datun toothbrush for outdoor activity. No paste, no water required for this. It's a great alternative for a plastic. We all know all this, but when it is told to us by our elder or ancestor, we don't value it. When it's market like this, we value it, unfortunately. So most of the coast people use this miswak as a datum. Moving on to next is sea purslane. It can tolerate a saline condition as well as a drought condition. A uh, plant flower and fruit throughout the year. Flower open for few hours. Open only for few hours. So in that few hours, it has to do its pollination, and leaves of this sea purse. You may see the near wetland. There are some ladies who sell this kind of vegetable. And this vegetable is good for not only good for health. It has very kind of nutrients to us. But before cooking it, you just need to get rid of excess of salt. To get rid of excess of salt, it is advisable to boil this in a fresh water. And due to it has excess of salt, it is also pickled. These leaves are pickled, and it's considered as a good source of vitamin C. Next is golden fern. It is also known as golden leather fern. It's a large species of fern that grow in mangrove area. It's mostly found in a wetland. It can again tolerate some salinity. First, we will understand why this is known as golden fern. What are fern? We will try to learn that. So this is fern morphology. See, we call this as a leaf. We call this as a leaf, but when it comes to fern, we call this as a font. Similar structure, we call it as a font. When here, we call this as a petiole, but when it comes to fern, we call this as a stipe. My question is why? Why can't we call this as a leaf? Why can't we call this as a petiole? See, leaf function is to do photosynthesis. But in case of fern along with photosynthesis, it's also doing reproduction. Let me explain how. You know that all plant produce seed, but fern is a flowerless plant. See, they don't have flowers. Flower नहीं तो fruit नहीं तो seed नहीं. Then how they will reproduce? They reproduce using these spores. The spores are present at underside. This is the upper side and this is the underside. So spores are produced underside of the leaves, and fern which produce a spore are known as fertile font, and these are known as sterile font. Not all leaves will, because producing a spore is again spending an energy. So all leaves won't be producing a spore. Only few leaves will be producing a spore, and they will produce a spore after certain maturity. So if you have young fern, you can't see this spore. And fern don't have a stem like other plant. This is a leaf and this is a stipe, a kind of a petiole you can consider. Which it is directly arising from a rhizome. Now rhizome botanically is a modified stem. So vegetative propagation means you can fern by using cutting this. Like we have cuttings in case of other plant. In case of fern, this can be used for propagation. And natural propagation can be done using the spores. Spores fall off and they give rise to new fern. So in case of this fern, that's why it's known as golden fern, because backside of this fern is full with spores. Coming to its uses, young shoot, not old one, because young shoot is eaten as a vegetable. Old shoot you can't eat it because it is full with fern. That's why young shoot is eaten as a vegetable. And dry leaves of this are stitched together and used as a roof top to cover a roof. In this way, the roof lasts longer and there is less risk of catching a fire. And it has this goldenish leaf. That's why many people plant this in their garden nearby, in their building, even in their house, as an ornamental plant, because it's a handsome plant and it's a good looking plant. That's why it is used as an ornamentation. This was all about mangrove association. Now we will see a zonation. Mangrove species are distributed at different zones. In coastal habitat, the zonation is determined by the tide, elevation of the land, salinity of soil and water. And there are three distal zone, you can say: seaward zone or proximal zone, middle zone, and distal zone or landward zone. Here, towards sea zone, this zone is at waterfront. It's subjected to regular tide. It has intense soil accumulation. It has more flooding. So mangrove species in this zone have more this nematophore breathing roots. They have a more kind of roots which can give them anchoring. So in this species, Avicennia, Soneraceae, sometimes even this Rhizophora are found in this zone. Middle zone is characterized by in middle zone also has more amount of sea, and this zone has a tree which have more height as compared to this zone. So this species will have Brugueria, again Avicennia kind of species. Towards sea, this is here the salinity will be low, and there will be more fresh water coming in. So here, mangrove like Exocoria, like Agalocha, Electeria, what we have seen will be more. And we have seen this species have this buttresses kind of root to hold the soil. And here, all the mangrove associate will be there. Like we have seen Acanthus, Salvadora, all the that fern, golden leaf fern which we have seen. All these species are found here. Now, this zonation of mangrove is not this simple. It varies from place to place. Every species has their own salinity tolerance. High salinity can be a main reason for the distal zonation. So the zonation differ from place to place. Now we will discuss a function or role of mangrove. I've divided them into two groups: ecological function and economical function. First, we will see ecological function. Mangrove is a home for many shorebirds, many migratory birds. Trees are a nesting or a roosting site for many of them. It provides a ideal place. Provide ideal place for many of the birds. Next is its mangrove are a breeding ground for many fishes, shrimps, crabs, and many other shellfishes. Many species take shelter among this mangrove's root. And in mangroves, fishes are well fed. There are many algae growing here, many kind of small species which are growing here. So they get enough food under these roots. And many small species, you can say many small fishes take shelter under these roots. It also act as a hiding place, from big fishes, and it's also act as a safe place. It's also act as a breeding ground. Many fishes lay their egg here. So that's why it is mangrove is known as a nursery of a sea. It takes care of many aquatic species. Leaf litter. The mangrove leaves which are fallen down, after sometimes they get covered by fungus and bacteria. Leaves start getting decomposed. The leaf, these leaves get in, it completely get decomposed into a smaller and smaller part. And this act as a food for many crabs, shrimps, and fish. They love this. Eventually, the small fish is a food for big fish. That's how mangrove take care. And mangrove is a best eatery. It's a best eatery for many predator. You have seen the many species are surrounded to a mangrove. The many crabs come, the many fishes come. So even this birds know कि यार इधर बहुत खाना मिलेगा. So they roam around these mangroves for the food. Mangrove, as we have discussed earlier, mangrove protect us from a tsunami, cyclone, flood, all kind of natural disaster. We spend crores of rupees in a disaster management. We spend many money in relief packages. Mangrove can protect us from all this free of cost. Prevention is better than cure, so we should start protecting a mangrove. It's a simple logic. We don't have to spend this many money in this. We just need to protect our mangroves. Coming to ecological importance. As we know, many fishes are found around mangrove, so we do fishing there. coastal people depended on mangrove forest for their survival and livelihood. At a low tide, means when there is low water, people can walk across a mud flat and they can collect these clams, shellfish, and shrimps. When tide is high, all the fishes move into their roots. Again, it's a good time to collect fishes for fishermen. Timber. In coastal region, these are used for building houses, furniture, boards, and certain other household. Is being a source of firewood. So they use mangroves because that's an only tree which is present in their surrounding. That's why mangrove is used in a limited amount by a coastal people. Next is tannins. Tannins are chemically most used by a tanners. Tannins are used to convert skin to a leather. Without tanning, you might be knowing animal skin is used as a leather. Before that, animal skin has to be covered by the tannins. If it's not covered by the tannin, then skin would decompose. So this chemical get absorbed by the skin during the tannin process, and it prevents a skin from decomposing, and that's how you get a leather. And Indian fishermen also use this tannin to dye their fishing net so that it goes for many days. Tannin also have some medicinal uses. Uh, Coming to another use, that's honey. Mangrove is a best place for honey. Like, you get some of the rare honey in mangrove forest, as we have discussed. Aegisaris corniculatum, the white color flowers, it has good amount of nectar. Apart from that, there are many mangrove species which has a good amount of nectar. So, have you ever thought like how to identify a honey? So there are different types of honey are available in market, like jamun honey, mango honey, acacia honey, this uh, black mangrove honey. So how you will identify honey? How you will know that it's a jamun honey or black mangrove honey? Don't think about taste, smell, or color. People can add color and all that, even a fragrance. So the only proper way to identify honey is that by looking for a pollen. It's possible only through microscope, but you can take a honey sample on a slide and you have to look for a pollen grain. So if they are saying it's a black mangrove pollen grain should be visible. If they're saying it's a jamun, then jamun pollen should be visible in that. It's 70% of the honey should have jamun pollen. Other pollens may also can be there, but if they're saying it's a jamun, then 70% of it should be there. So this way you can test the honey. And medicinal uses. See, mangrove have many medicinal uses, but you might have seen we have not discussed medicinal uses because medicinal uses discuss medicinal user or to tell medicinal user there you need to be a certified ayurvedic practitioner or something like that, because if I tell you some medicinal uses and if you use it in other way around, poor plant will get blamed for it. As I've told you, the difference between medicine and poison is depends upon the quantity. It also depends the way you use it. So that's why we don't discuss medicinal uses. But yes, mangroves are best. No, because people who are living on a coast, see the people who live on the coast, their life revolves around a mangrove. For everything, they are dependent upon mangrove. Whether it's a timber, whether it's a tannin, whether it's a firewood, or whether it's a mangrove. So we are not much familiar with mangroves, but people who live on the coast, they know everything. For every illness, they have a mangrove species uh, for remedy. Next, we will thread to mangrove. Again, have divided them into a natural and human effect, human activities. Natural, we will see. Natural threat would be climate change like sea level rise, temperature rise, salinity, cyclone, tsunami. Powerful storms can damage mangrove habitat. Waves, wind, flooding may be destructive enough to clear a mangrove island. Because mangroves are the one who take all these things on them before it affect us. So in that process, some mangroves can get damaged. Other kind of natural damage usually people talk about include insects and pest damage by crabs and other sea creatures. We need to understand, like just like fish, birds visit mangrove for food. We enjoy if fish come to the mangroves. We enjoy when birds come to the mangroves. If an insects come to the mangroves, we call them as a pest and damage. We need to understand that every species have this equal role, and every species is visiting it for a food. The problem happens when insects uh, visit mangrove in a large number, and but it's a part of nature, and most of the time plant know how to deal with these insects and pests. So this was about a natural threat. Next, so these are the natural threat I was talking about. The many caterpillar eats mangrove leaves. These are barnacle who take shelter in mangrove roots. Just like fishes, they take a support of mangrove. Human activity. Most of the coastal development project like construction of ports, dock, bridges, hotel, golf floors, halls are constructed near the sea because everyone love being near the sea. In that process, all wetlands are getting filled by concrete. We are destroying mangrove forest and we are constructing concrete forest. And pollutants that accompany this development can damage individual tree or whole tract of mangrove. And garbage, in most of the time, garbage what is produced by all the development which happens near the coast is dumped in a mangrove area, because this place is not much visited, because this place is not much regulated. That's why most of the garbage is dumped in this place. And you know that the soil of wetland has a low level of oxygen, and mangrove have breathing roots to, mangrove have this breathing root to breathe. If you dump all this garbage on breathing root, they're completely choked up. And if they're completely choked up, you can imagine the suffocation faced by the tree, and which affect the tree health. And there is a lot of human encroachment which happens. You can see both just mangroves are just between. They can easily get vanished. No, this is a news article. You can see this article is of year 2017. It's now 2020. The number may have increased. And throughout the world, thousands of acres of mangroves are damaged are damaged for agriculture, damaged for plantation, for many other. And farmers, most of the farmers, they damage some part of mangrove and start developing a rice, start growing rice in that. They start using fertilizers and pesticides. This fertilizer and pesticide from agriculture field start traveling into mangroves, which again affect them. If mangroves are destroyed, this is a small summary of what we have discussed. If mangroves are destroyed, then whole ecosystem will be damaged. Many species are directly or indirectly dependent upon mangroves. There will be decline in fishes and wildlife. Mangroves are the first species who take a flood, cyclone, storm on them and protect us. If they are not, then there will be no one to protect us from all this. Mangrove do filter pollutants, and they do keep water clean. So if mangroves are not them, even water will be pollutant level in water will be more. Conservation, what we can do for that? We can do plantation in wetland. where mangrove got disrupted due to human activity or some other activity. In that place, we can do kind of some plantation. See, mangrove plantation is different from the roadside plantation. You can't plant mangrove in your building. One need to study wetland area, observe species which are already growing there. Then you need to plant a mangrove. So mangrove plantation has to be done scientifically. The more strict laws need to be developed for protecting mangroves. A regular monitoring and survey of wetlands should be done by the government, and even citizen can do that. If citizen can do any malpractices which are going on in mangrove area, they can complain nearby police or forest authorities. Awareness plays a major role and important role. Many of them don't know about mangroves. Not only at school level we need to do this awareness campaign, but also to a citizen who live nearby wetland, they need to be aware because they are the one who can keep an eye on illegal activities which are happening in mangroves. So eventually we need to go hand in hand to save mangroves because they are the one who can save us from the cyclones and flood, and they are the one who can increase diversity. See, as I've told you, Sundarban, the world largest mangrove forest, Sundarban is shared between India and Bangladesh. World second largest mangrove forest is in Pichavaram, Tamil Nadu. Again, it's in India. World largest private mangrove forest. It's in Vikroli. It is owned by Godrej. It's a world private mangrove forest. So we are blessed with a mangrove, and unfortunately, we are not doing that much to save them. And this is something which we need to be proud of mangroves and try to save them. This was from my end. I think we can start taking question answer.
Kiran,
Yeah,
yeah, there are few questions in chat box. You can see.
yeah. I'll take first Maggie's question. Is there any book that would you recommend to know more about them? Yes, Monday I will be sending you a study guide. In that there is a book by Katie Buckley. She has written that book for kids, but it's an amazing book. And in a story form, she has explained about mangroves, about a species which are surrounded around a mangrove. There are unfortunately very few books on mangrove. So that book by Katie Buckley is amazing book. I would recommend that to everyone, and will be sending you uh, that book on Monday. And plus, earlier I've shared an app by Go. I will again share that Mangrove app by Godrej is it's very important and it's easy to understand every species. So again, I will share that in a link of that Mangrove app. Exocarica agalacea is used for many diseases. Medicinal purpose again is latex is used for medicine. Again, smoke of the wood is used for many medicines. I can't tell you the medicinal purpose, but yes, if you just Google it, there are many medicinal purpose. You will get it. How tannins are connected to mango? See, many of the plant have a tannins. Even the tea which we drink has a tannin. So if you boil your tea for a long time, it becomes bitter because the tannins are present in tea. So so many species of plant has this tannins in their leaves. Some species have tannins in their bark. Amla have tannins in their fruit. So tannins are there. So not only for converting skin into a leather, tannins have many medicinal purpose. Is there an NGO in Mumbai that's working on mangroves? Yes, there is a NGO in Mumbai called Vanashakti that is working for protection of mangroves. Uh, and even BNHS is doing a mangrove plantation in Ratnagiri. And even we are, as a coastal development project, we are studying mangroves. We are studying habitats like flamingo, bird count, which are around a mangrove habitat. But Vanashakti is a NGO which is working on mangrove majorly. Yeah, are mangrove found on most of the world coastline? Yes, most of the world coastline, New Zealand, Australia, Bangladesh, Burma, they most of the coastline have a mangrove forests. Most of the tropical and subtropical coastline will be having the mangrove ecosystem. Can mangrove grow in non-coastal area ecosystem? I don't think so. They can grow in non-coastal ecosystem because, see, as I told you, mangrove need the habitat. That you can't plant a mangrove on roadside. They need a wetland habitat. They need that kind of bird. They need that kind of condition to grow. So that's why mangroves are grow in wetland area. Is
Hello,
there
Kiran.
any?
Kiran?
Yeah.
Yeah, this session will end in a couple of minutes. So,
Okay, I'll try to take as many questions. So we'll see if you could cover all the questions, or else we'll join in second.
okay, fine.
Is there any Sundari tree in Maharashtra coastal area? I don't know whether any Sundari tree is there in Maharashtra coastal area, but there was one Sundari tree in Rani Bagh. No, one Rani Bagh species, but eventually they have cut off that. So, huge Sundari tree mostly found in that West Bengal region. Is there a NGO work in mangrove conservation? That's great. You're doing a good work. You mentioned a private mangrove forest. Where it is? Does it mean that it's privately owned or something else? Yes, private mangrove forest is owned by the Godrej company. Uh, they have this, but if you write a letter to them, if you have a group of people, they do organize a trail, for this. So it's a private mangrove forest which is present in Mumbai, Bikroli. I don't see any other questions. If you have any question, kindly type in a chat box, or you can mail me at any time.
Perfect, Kiran. So, I guess we are good to conclude.
Yes. And see, riverside means if they have a wetland kind of area around a river, then there will be a mangroves there. But mangrove associate species can be found everywhere. How can you plant a mangrove if it's a vivipare? Yes, I've told you propagule fall down. So propagule fall down and it floats. So that during that time, the propagules are collected, and that collected propagules are used for planting. So the fallen propagule, so you have seen the picture where propagule are floating in water. So when the propagule fall off, they are collected by the local people and they sell to a people who